you, Ralph.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay. No, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. So
Good.
excited about the year. And how are you doing, Pam?
I'm well. I'm well. So we are recording now. So just for everyone's benefit, I've never met Ralph in person, so I linked up with him on LinkedIn as I do with most people. And he posted something because I've been contemplating and procrastinating on writing a book. And I saw his post and I thought, oh, actually, his post was about a master class that he's having next week, Saturday on the 17th. And I thought, I think I'd like to attend this master class. But I thought, no, hang on, how about we actually have a conversation and invite more people to join the conversation to just really hear your story, what you're all about, and what the master class will be all about. And because we never know, there might be people that are sitting on stories they've been procrastinating, like me, to one day write a book and they don't know how to go about it. So I believe that, we live in a community and sharing is caring, really. So I thought, me not longer being afraid of rejection, I thought, let me reach out to this wonderful human being that I see on LinkedIn, that is Ralph, and tell him, give him a proposal in terms of how about we can collaborate. And then that's really the story. And here we are today. So thank you so much for agreeing to collaborate with me and everyone on the call today and actually spreading the word and encouraging people to actually document their journeys, their stories, whatever story that they hold in their hearts. So for those that don't know me, my name is Ngobile Pamela Klaba. I am an entrepreneur, I'm an HR professional, I'm a business person, I'm a community builder, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, as most of us are, so, and I reside in Pretoria. And I also run a podcast channel called the Diversity Roundtable. I'm also a co-founder and chairperson of an NPC called Inspired Growth. We've got some of our board members here on the call, one of them being Kantha. And I'm also a coach, so God is really great. So, Ralph, let me hand over to you just a bit of intro before we get into the discussion. Seeing that I do not know you that well, and please also our guests that have joined us today, please enlighten us in terms of who Ralph is. Anything that you are comfortable to share about your journey and what has gotten you to this point. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Pam. Really, really appreciate being on this conversation with everyone. I see Kanta. I've had a beautiful conversation with her early last year, and she shared with me a bit about her story. So, and thanks for everyone that is on this conversation at this moment. Yeah, so with Ralph, I'm a writer. I'm a writer, and I've got three books coming up this year, by the way. I am a
Wow.
coach, um, yes, an editor. So really, my life revolves around many things, amongst others, writing. Started writing really, really early. I think as early as primary school, I started writing. But the funny thing is that I started writing. I remember my first pieces of writing was to Santa. Like every child, you write a
Yeah.
letter and you believe that Santa is real. So I wrote the letter. Then I started writing letters to my dad because he taught me how to write letters early. Then, from writing letters, I began to progress into writing novels, and then from novels, writing professional type of writing. My dad is a lawyer, so very early he taught me, and he said, you need to know how to write and all types of pieces. So from there, this
Mm.
is how I grew more and more as a writer. But then I went to high school and I went to university. By the way, I was born
Mm-hmm.
in Congo, DR Congo, and
Mm-hmm.
then I came to South Africa a bit later on. Then I went to university and then I studied law at university. Then from there, after university, then I'm thinking, what am I going to do after varsity? Like every man thinks. Then I'm realizing, yes, the corporate world is great, it's nice, but I feel like I want to explore my passion. Now, it was a very
Mhm.
hard decision because you don't know, because most people think that writers are broke. That they, you know, writers are broke. Like, how in the world are you going to make a living from writing? But then something in me, God, because I'm a believer in God, in Christ, in Jesus. So I believe that God had put this gift in me to write. And from there, I realized, you know what? Let me try to go back from to the foundations. What is the one thing that I used to do before? And I realized it was writing. Then I got back to writing. Then before I knew it, I found people that were like, okay, you're writing. Can you help me write? I said, sure. Then I started to help
Mhm.
people write. I started to help people edit. And then from there, I realized, why not start to talk about it to a wider audience. Then I went to
Mhm.
social media and then I got a few more clients. And today, uh, my company, Ralph Publishers, about 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years now, 2 years and a half to be more precise. And we're located in Pretoria. And this year we've started having our services in the physical location in the office. So we're just growing and growing, and we want to help everybody to not just amplify their voice, but also to release what they have inside of them. What else do I like? I think I'm a very joyful person. I love to be joyful all the time. Uh, I love football, a lot of soccer, and I think that's more or less some of the things that I can mention about myself.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That is such a beautiful journey, Ralph. And I love that you're mentioning joy because I think, sometimes we get so caught up in so many other things that really take joy away from us. But I think we should always remember that, to be joyous because there's just so much to be grateful for and to be thankful for amidst the challenges that most of us go through anyway. So let's get into the discussion really. And as a follow-up to your masterclass, but we'll cover, what your masterclass will entail, the one that you'll have
Mhm.
next Saturday. And I thought, let us then craft this topic. And this is actually, episode 1 of season 3 of the Diversity Roundtable. So thank you very
Yeah.
much for being so gracious to open the year with this conversation, which we have titled Owning Your Voice, Writing for Legacy and Influence from Lived Experience to Lasting Influence. And it's such a loaded topic because I think, like I mentioned earlier, and you've also alluded to it, Ralph, that, how do we help people find their voices? How do we help people exhale from whatever that is, sitting in their hearts, sitting in their minds from their lived experiences, the challenges, the joys, the wins, the triumphs, and also writing with authority from their experience, because I think most of us here in the call, and as most other people, we're in different fields in terms of career and professional spaces, but as well as personal spaces. And sometimes we tend to think that writing a book is actually, set aside for a certain type of an individual or certain. But I think looking at your profile and what you have shared with us in terms of your intro, you are basically saying to us that anyone can write, provided that they have the right coaching and the guidance to get there. But then how do we then also guide them to write with impact and influence, because a lot of people write about their life stories, about, where they were born and how
Yeah.
they grew up and then, so everyone has a story. The question that I always ask is then, so what, but then, what is it that will set a piece of work apart in terms of writing for influence and writing for legacy? Can you just unpack this topic for us, Ralph, in terms of
Okay.
your understanding, owning your voice, writing for legacy and influence, from lived experience to lasting influence? Yeah.
Pam, when you gave me the topic of owning your voice, I really started to think about what it is to own. And I started to look at how we use the language of owning in our day-to-day life, right? When you think about renting or think about owning, when you rent something, it means that it is not in your, it's not legally in your possession. It's somebody else's that owns it, and you are there temporary. Uh, that means it's not fully yours, right? But an owner, it means that this is legally yours. It is in your name. It is entitled to you. So I think
Mm,
that today in the world, with the growth and the development of technology, and even with AI, a lot of people, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and so on, leaders, we become so tempted to want to borrow other people's voices.
mm,
We want to be like this coach you see on social media. You want to be like this speaker you heard on a TEDx show. But really, to own your voice starts by asking yourself who you are. Who am I? Because
mm,
you cannot just become the duplicate of somebody else. You have to be the person that you are, and you have to communicate what you are to other people and what you have learned to other people. So this is the first thing. The second thing about owning your voice is to understand that we don't need to ask permission for permission to speak. Because in
mm,
today's world, though we say we have democracy, but sometimes it looks like we are not allowed to say one or two, right? Uh, But when we own our voices, when you own your voice, you are essentially telling people that I'm not asking for permission to talk about my story. I'm not asking for permission to talk about my experience. I am a maybe survivor. I'm a survivor from very difficult pains. I do not need anybody to tell me you can talk about it or you can't, because this is
mm,
my experience. So I want to share that with the world. So this is what owning your voice is, because it's your experiences and nobody has lived that except you. Then owning your voice also means that you and I and everybody that is on this conversation right now needs to understand that we need to stop diluting our message to sound like somebody else. You
mm,
want to sound like somebody else, but by sounding like somebody else, we begin now to dilute what we have. And Pam, when I have coaching sessions with clients, I've
mm,
had somebody ask me a question recently, and they said, you say that you are having this coaching for writers, but what can you do that ChatGPT can't do?
mm,
I mean, why should I register for your class? I have ChatGPT. And I said, you're right. ChatGPT can do this faster. ChatGPT can write this faster. But you know one thing that ChatGPT cannot? ChatGPT cannot sympathize with you.
mm,
ChatGPT AI cannot have empathy, can't have emotions, because it's reserved for human beings to have that kind of feelings. So by working with me, I can feel a little bit of the pain that you're trying to communicate with people, to people. I can feel a little bit of the joy you're trying to communicate to your audience. So by giving your message, you are giving that piece and that part of you that nobody else can. And the last
mm,
um, element about owning your voice, I call that responsibility. I believe that you and I have a responsibility to share our story. Uh, I heard the famous Dr. Miles Monroe once said that look at this symmetry. He said, "Do you know what's the most the wealthiest place on in the world?" He said, "It's the symmetry, because there's so many potentials untapped in a symmetry."
mm,
And I believe that in 2026 is not just an option to share your story, it's a responsibility. Because if you do not share your story, if you do not share your expertise, then you are really keeping a whole generation from moving forward?
Mm. Yeah, I liked that your closing note that you are actually keeping the whole generation from moving forward because they would never know, right? What is it that you took to the grave? They would have
Correct.
grown from you sharing your story. But then, I mean, it prompts, a follow-up question then, Ralph, to say then why do so many capable professionals then doubt the value of their lived experience, and how does writing help reclaim that voice and agency?
But I mentioned in the beginning that we live in a world where we want to get permission to talk about what we know and what we have experienced. So we think about the way we grew up, the way we went to school, right? Uh,
Mm,
oh, before you answer to a question or before you express your opinion in class, you must be given the right to express your opinion. You need to maybe raise your hand. So I believe that internally we have conditioned ourselves to always need permission to express what we know. So now when we grow up with that mentality. And even when you are corporate, even when you're a leader, even when you're a thought leader, when you are anything that you are in whatsoever sector you are, unconsciously, we still feel like I've not been given permission to talk about what I know. Or
mm,
will people love what I have to say? Will people accept what I have to say? And then now we have an imposter syndrome because we think that we are not enough or we are not competent enough. And this is what I deal with when I work with a lot of authors and even leaders. I'm sometimes so um, surprised to work with a leader who has been a leader for 20 years, 25 years. And the person tells me that, listen, I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, what? You have imposter syndrome? I mean, you're a genius. Look at everything that you've achieved over 25 years. Look at all the businesses you have been able to build. How can you tell me that you have an imposter syndrome? They say, Ralph, I still have an imposter syndrome. So I feel like we grow with that and we don't believe that what we have to say is enough or is compelling enough. So that is why
mm.
so many leaders leave without sharing the story or without sharing the experience. It's because they think they need permission, and number two, they have an imposter syndrome that really stays in our subconscious mind that we need really to deal with. Hope I answered.
No, definitely, you are spot on. And imposter syndrome is real, and
All
we
right.
tend to doubt ourselves and doubt our capabilities. But I'm a firm believer that, all that you need to do is just take that first step, because sometimes we want a perfect picture. We want things to be perfect and to know all the answers, how this journey will unfold before we actually start. But I think
Yeah,
sometimes it's just to start and then
just
find
start.
the people that will then support you along the journey because those people then like you who helps coach aspiring authors and writers is to then say, how do you then show up? How do you frame certain things? Because you cannot copy and paste from ChatGPT when you are telling your story and your lived experience, right?
I
Yes,
love that.
ChatGPT may help you enhance the grammar, but in terms of how you structure the story from start to finish and actually guide your readers through the journey in a way that it lands and it makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So now, Raf, let's talk about then from a lived experience to written authority. So I think
Mhm.
my limited understanding is that, there's a difference then between storytelling and strategic writing. So what are
Mhm.
some of the common mistakes that first-time authors make, in terms of writing with intention versus writing emotionally? Because now you want to tell a story, but the story that you want to tell, it invokes so much emotion. It could be negative emotion. It could be because maybe it was a challenging situation. But how do you make sure that you do not bleed on your writing by being so emotional? So the difference between storytelling and strategic writing.
I think I can put it like this. Those are almost similar concepts, but I will present storytelling as the goal of storytelling is engagement. When I write to tell a story, when I write to tell an experience, I want engagements. I want to engage your emotions. I want to engage your brain. I want to evoke something from within you. I want you
Mm,
to almost walk through this experience with me. I don't know if it has ever happened to you or anyone uh, in this conversation. When you were reading a book, and let's say you were reading a book, it's such an interesting book you were reading, and you were reading this story, this amazing story, and you are there, cup of coffee, reading this book, and you're having a great time, and it's so great. And you're reading this story, it is so amazing that it's almost like you are inside that story. It's
mm,
almost like you are there. And before you know it, somebody calls you on your phone and your phone starts to ring. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, where was I? Looks like I was somewhere else, right? Well, that's what storytelling does. Storytelling wants to take the reader inside the story. I don't just want you to read what I'm saying. I want you to participate with what I'm saying. And if you are in business, that's also a tip that I can give. I also sometimes write for business owners. I ghostwrite for business owners. So if you are writing for
mm,
business, for example, on LinkedIn, it's more effective when you use phrases like how I did this, how I graduated without having sponsorship, how I overcame. Because when you use storytelling, you are literally telling the audience that what I have experienced, you might be experiencing the same, and you can win where I won. Strategic
mm,
writing is more about actions because in storytelling, I'm not giving you an instruction. I'm simply telling you what's happening. But strategic writing is more me giving you a call to action. Here's
mm,
how I lost this amount of weight. For example, I struggled so much with losing weight. I had difficulty, I had so many issues, and so and so. And I joined the gym, but I was always skipping my leg days. Then I found a coach, and the coach gave me a strategy to allow me to keep up with my classes and my commitment. And after 1 year, I was finally able to lose this amount of weight. Now, this is storytelling, but I've not told you anything. I've not given you any call to action. Now, strategic writing is when I say, the same way I've been able to do that, I want you to know that you also can beat whatever obstacle that is on your way if you do one, two, and three. Now it's strategic writing because I'm now giving you a call to action. I'm now giving you a system. So now, Pamela, the question would be which one is more important? None. Both are equally important because each is a component that completes the other. If you only do storytelling, you will evoke emotions, then you will lose
mhm.
people. If you only do
Yeah.
strategic writing, you will sound like a guru with
Mhm.
no credibility. But if you can do storytelling and you can do strategic writing, then you sound more like a guide with an experience that people want to look up to. So now
Mhm.
the common mistakes you've asked, right? Do you want me to go for the
Yeah.
common mistakes? So, okay, so the common mistakes now that first authors make, number one, this is going to be a little bit funny, is that first time authors do everything and anything except writing. That means they buy a
Please unpack
computer,
that.
they buy a computer, they create a website, they get a website, they start a YouTube channel, they they even get maybe like a cup written writer, and they get super sophisticated journals. But you know what? They won't write a thing. So
Mm.
first time writers do everything but writing. And also, number two, what I see writers, first time writers make the mistake is they don't have a clear writing schedule. Anything that you want to achieve, you need to put it in actionable steps, right? So what's your schedule?
Yeah.
What's your plan? You say you want to write, let's say, 200 pages book. So if you don't have a plan to win, like they say, you're already planning to fail, right? So you need to plan that I'm gonna write this amount of words in this, and this is what I'm gonna do. Then thirdly, third mistake is first time writers don't set a deadline. Have you ever heard the famous I will write one day, I will publish
Mm-hmm.
one day, one day
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna publish. So this is what the first time writers do. They always have a one day. But um, I've 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 heard Jim Rohn talk about the importance of setting a deadline because a deadline forces your brain to move towards the completion of the goal. So they don't set a specific deadline to say, listen, I'm going to write by June 2026. I'm going to publish by July 2027. So when there is no deadline to your writing project, there's high chances that you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. So these are a couple of mistakes that I see very common.
Mm. Mm.
Let
So
me add
one
another
actually
one.
then,
Let me just
yes,
add another
yes.
one, which is very important. I think this is going to help. Editing while writing at the same time. It's a
Mm-hmm.
recipe for disaster because when you are editing while you write, you are blocking your creativity because now you enter into a mode of critique mode, correction mode, which is
Mm.
good, but supposed to come later on. When you write, you must be in creativity mode. You must be in free writing mode. You must let it out. Whether it makes sense or not, whether it's good English or bad English, don't worry about it. Whether it's the right chronological order or not, you don't even need to do chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. You can start in chapter seven and then chapter five. It doesn't matter. You just need to get the needle moving. Then later on, you can edit. But if you edit while you write, you are blocking your ability to be creative.
Mm. Yeah, so I guess it's also the imposter syndrome that kicks in because then we want to be perfect. Because now, once you put it out there to say that I'm going to publish this book in June 2026, now you like put yourself under so much pressure and you want everything to be perfect, right?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you that, as much as you've set the deadline for yourself, and especially also once you put it out there on the public platform, but you also need to be honest in terms of saying that how am I then telling the story? And then the editing will come later. And then who are the people then that will help me actually, constructively, constructive criticism and help me and coach me into making sure that the story is got impact and you are writing
Absolutely.
for legacy as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's perfectly fine if you have to push the dates. You don't have to be so tough on yourself, but having a deadline is going to force you to make some steps forward. But it's perfectly fine if you realize that you have not um, finished by the time you thought you will finish, because the most important is that you've been able to make progress.
Hmm. So let's build it up then, Ralph. Let's build it up. We will have a Q&A session just before the close with the
Great.
leaders that have joined the call this evening. So I think then let's talk about writing without being overwhelmed or writing without perfectionism, right? Because I think one of the
Mhm.
biggest barriers people face is being overwhelmed for time, for perfectionism, fear of judgment. I think you've alluded to some of these things, you know. So what practical shifts can then help people to actually start and finish their book? You know, so just maybe unpack it even further over and above what we have said, you know, also keeping, you know, writing without being overwhelmed or wanting things to be perfect.
Okay, great. That's a very great question. So, what I love to do when I have these kind of discussions about being overwhelmed is I believe that everything needs to start by asking yourself, why am I overwhelmed? Why do I feel overwhelmed? Because until you find out why the overwhelm, you're just going to keep doing the same thing. And that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So I need to start by why am I so overwhelmed? Then you will find that I'm overwhelmed because maybe I don't have a right writing schedule. I'm overwhelmed maybe because the place that I choose to write is a very destructive place. It's a place with a lot of noise, so maybe I need a better place. I feel overwhelmed, maybe because I want to talk about a story that I'm not ready to share yet, that I have not processed yet. So let's say you've had a very difficult marriage or a difficult childhood, then you want to write a book about it. So you will feel overwhelmed because you have not processed those specific events properly yet. That can be a reason why you're overwhelmed. Why am I overwhelmed? You could be overwhelmed maybe because you trying to do too many at the same time, too much at the same time. You want to write 50 pages a day, while what could help would be just to write maybe 100 words a day or 400 words a day or one paragraph a day. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is the progress that you make. Or maybe sometimes you're overwhelmed because you want to use so many tools. You want to use ChatGPT, then you want to use Grammarly, then you want to use this, you want to use that, and then you stack all those tools before you, and then you don't know which one to use. Over the years, I've learned to practice the rule of the blank page. So there is a very practical tool on the internet. If you Google it, I think it's called blank. So when you open it on your computer, it's just a blank page. There's nothing, there's no tool, you don't see anything, just blank. Now, what it does, it forces you to focus on one thing at a time. Because if you want to write and you have 5, 10 windows open and you have so many apps open at the same time, you're not going to write properly. So those are the reasons why somebody will feel overwhelmed. Now, the follow-up question, if I heard you properly, is now how to deal with the overwhelm, correct? Now, moving into dealing with the overwhelm, it doesn't have to be very complicated. I really try to make it very easy. The first thing to deal with the overwhelm, thank you so much. See the blank page. The first thing to do to deal with the overwhelm is to ask yourself in writing, when you want to write, is what problem do I want to solve with this book? Because really, Pam, every book is a solution to a problem. That's just what it is. Every book, even if it's a novel, somewhere, somehow, you find that there's a problem being solved. So, what major problem do I want to solve? When you are a writer, you are not just communicating words, you are almost like a salesman, you are a salesperson. A writer is like a salesperson. You are selling an idea to people, but you're also selling a solution. So it begins with what problem do I want to solve? If you are a lawyer and you want to write a book, then maybe you want to write a book about how to win more cases without lying. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. Not while lying. How do, how do you win more cases if you are writing to mothers and you realize, oh, okay, I see a lot of mothers that are so overwhelmed and they don't know how to find time for their career. Now you are writing a book about time management for mothers or time management for single mothers. Now you are writing about overcoming stress um, for firstborn, maybe. So
Mm.
find out the problem that you want to solve. The second step to overcome the overwhelm is try to do some research before you start writing. As much as I talked about originality, there are certain things that are already exist. There are templates. There's a specific system, specific way to write, or there might be some people who have already written in this same niche as you. So what you could do is that you could research other people that have already written within this specific niche and see if you can borrow
Mm.
some of their ideas. This is just going to make your life much easier because you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Then
Yeah.
after that, you now move to having a clear writing schedule. I recommend not aiming for too high. Be realistic. If all you can
Mm.
do is one chapter a week, it doesn't matter. Just do the one chapter a week. Because over a year, you would have finished your book. But
Yeah.
it's not good to say, well, I'm going to write 10 pages a day. Are you sure about that? So just
Mm.
have a very realistic, very small a system for writing. Then after that, another tip that you could use to beat the overwhelm is I've been doing it is to speak your book. What I mean is if you use Word or there's other tools online where you can dictate literally. I'm finishing a book right now and I've been dictating a lot of pages. Yeah, I'm just speaking, I'm
Mm.
dictating it. And then the tool is just getting your words and putting the text. Then what I will need to do is now to edit the text and put normal because sometimes you can say car and then the app says cats. But this can help you
Yeah.
to just take off the pressure because some people are overwhelmed because they don't know how to write even properly. So if that's the
Mm.
case for you, then try dictating. Try dictate your ideas. Try to speak it into a recording. Try to record yourself and then find the tool to now transcribe the recording into text. It's going to make your life much easier. Then the last step to beating the overwhelm is to get help. Help can be in two ways. Firstly, accountability. You can tell a friend, listen, I'm going to start writing, keep me accountable. Ask me every week, Pam, did you write a chapter? Oh no, I went out, I had to go grab coffee. No, you've got to finish a chapter. So that's accountability. But also you can get help from professionals, people like me and many others that are doing an incredible job and get help from them so that they can give you a very actionable system to get your book done. So it's not exhaustive, but this is one of the things that we cover in our classes.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for this insight, Ralph. I love the idea of, talking your book into life. What is the word that you use? Transcribe.
Dictating.
What is
Yeah, transcribe. So
dictating?
you dictate and then you transcribe. Then it transcribes it
Yes.
into text.
For some of us that like talking, so I think that's an idea. No, so, but I think that maybe also talking, it helps to release some of the emotions
Yeah.
that you actually want to, that you are experiencing as writing the book. But I think because now you're writing your lived experiences, whether professionally or personally, but also what is the story that you are telling. And I like, how you said, you need to identify what problem are you solving for so that other
Correct.
people would benefit meaningfully to the body of work that you are going to publish. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Ralph, can we just unpack this now in terms of writing for influence, not just for publication? Let's talk influence. Beyond just publishing a book, how can writing be used then strategically to attract, let's say, in your professional space, like you're a lawyer, you're a coach, in whatever profession, one, to write strategically, one, to either attract the right clients or for speaking opportunities or partnerships, so can you just talk to us about that?
Okay, I love this part. You know why I love this part, Pam? Because this is the part that actually prints money.
Yeah.
Because people want to make money, don't they? Right? So
Yes.
this part is where your business grows. Um, okay, the first thing that we need to set at this stage is that writing is a very I see it as a world. So there's so many types of writing, and not everybody is necessarily going to write a book. And no one should ever feel pressured to write a book, to think that
Mm,
I must necessarily write a book. There is so many things that you can do with writing. But now going towards the corporate sides and the corporate worlds, the professional world, writing, um, at a moment where somebody could get started will be on social media. Today you have LinkedIn. Most of the content on LinkedIn are text content. Though we have videos today, but most are text. So when you start with a platform like LinkedIn, for example, and you want to write to generate, traffic and attention, the one key thing that we need to think about is to be able to hook people. Should be
mm,
able to hook people. And how do we hook people? You hook people by talking about your story. For example, if you are selling a specific service, you're not just going to tell people, hey, I want you to buy my service, because people don't like to be sold to, right? But you could tell them, you could write about how your service helped another clients, how I helped 5 clients break the six-figure revenue per month. So you see, then you hook them that way. Or you could talk about how your own product has helped you. So let's say you are selling a product. Let's say, give an example of uh, you have a product that helps you with your skin, right? Then you can talk about how your own product has helped you for your skin. So this again takes us back to storytelling, as we mentioned. So on social media, on places like LinkedIn, you want to hook your audience. You want to take them through the transformation that this specific service has achieved for you or for your clients. Then you now give them a call to action to say, this is how this worked for me, and this is how it can work for you. So this is a very simple that we usually overcomplicate it. Then you also have X, Twitter, X, another platform where you can write to hook the attention of people. Because at the end of the day, when you write as a professional, like I
mm,
said, the key point is you want to hook people. Because remember
mm,
that when people come on social media, they have tons and tons and tons of information coming left and right and left and right. So why would somebody buy from you? Why you? Because you need to make sure that you hook them, you cause them to stop scrolling and pay attention. And to be able to do that, then you need to have a very good system of writing. Then after the social media, then we also have newsletter. Newsletter is one of the most effective ways of using writing to generate traffic and generate income. So essentially, what you want to do is you want to use your LinkedIn platform or your Twitter platform as a place where you are hooking people, but you will not necessarily get people to buy from LinkedIn or from Twitter. But you write on LinkedIn so that you can tag people within what we call a rented, a owned audience. Okay. Because on your LinkedIn, it's a rented platform. You don't own the people on LinkedIn. You don't own the people on Facebook or Twitter. So they read your stuff every day, but they also read tons and tons of other information. So what you do is when I write on those platforms, I write such as to give them just enough information to be interested, but not everything, to keep them wanting for more. So now where do they get the more? They get the more by going inside your newsletter. So you get them in your newsletter by giving them, for example, a um, a um, a free course or a free if anything that's for free that you can give them, then they're in your newsletter. Now, this is where the conversion happens because once they're inside your newsletter, every single week or every single day, you begin to send them emails where you talk about your service. You talk about how your service has helped people, how your service has transformed people. Here's 5 steps to becoming a better speaker. Here's 10 ways to overcome stress. So you keep doing that over and over and over. Now, what happens, Pam, is that as you write more and more as a professional, you begin to build an important aspect that converts people to client, which is trust. Because think about it, somebody comes on your LinkedIn, your Twitter, and they sees your post, and you tell them, "Hey, this is me. This is what I do. Buy." Well, I'm not going to buy for you because I don't know you yet, right? But if you can hook me and take me inside another place, and you begin to educate me consistently, then now I trust you. Now I see how good you are by writing. So this is one powerful way that every professional should consider using writing in 2026. And if you do that, you really be able to convert. And I do that. I use this strategy, and we are able to convert clients on a consistent basis. So I think this is one or two ways that you can use. Also, articles. We have a platform called Substack where you can write your articles, you can write your thoughts. You have also mediums. You can write long format articles because everybody today, most people will write short text, but it's good to write longer formats because then you show people that you know your stuff. Because anybody can write a tweet, but to write an article, you must really know what you are talking about. So just diversifying the different platforms on the internet can help you to have more visibility and more credibility before your audience. And that's what I can say in short.
No, thank you so much, Ralph. I am just, really so enriched, and I'm hoping that the leaders in the call that have joined, they found value in this discussion, because I think what really stands out for me right now is that, writing is not an endpoint, but it is a catalyst, right? It's
Correct.
really about amplifying your voice so that it can travel further than you ever could alone, right? Because obviously, we've got limited time, our energy drains us. We can't constantly keep on knocking on doors. But if you use this strategy, like writing newsletters and writing articles, and you then start to build trust in terms of, and then over a period, and then people start to buy your services or want to work with you or collaborate with you. By the time you actually publish
Absolutely.
your book, then it's like a no-brainer. People don't second guess what you are talking about, right? Other than
Absolutely.
just really one day keeping quiet and never writing and never being active and not saying anything. And then one day you're like, voila, I've published
Surprise,
a book.
surprise,
And then like people are like, about what?
surprise, surprise,
Yeah,
surprise,
so I
surprise.
think what I'm taking away from what you've just said, Ralph, is that you need to warm people up to this
Exactly.
thing so that it helps you with credibility, but it also helps to build trust as well. Am I correct?
Yes. Correct. So, Pam, let me just allow me to just add quickly on that. You talked
Yeah,
about warming people. Um,
yeah.
One of the biggest mistakes that most professionals make, especially leaders, thought leaders, when they want to write a book, is they go quiet and then one day they say, I want to write a book. It doesn't really work like that. Your
Mm,
book should not be a sudden thing. Your book should be
mm,
something that you've been saying consistently or publishing consistently over the previous months or years. So let's say that you've been consistently writing on LinkedIn every single day, 5 days a week. You write about your specific niche every single day for in 2026. Now just imagine that in 2027 you say, I want to write a book. Guess where you're going to get your content? From LinkedIn. All you have to do,
mm,
go to LinkedIn, go to Twitter, go to Substack, go to any platform and look at your analytics. Find out what are your most popular, what were your most impactful posts, then this shows you what people want to hear because most people think that writing is about, oh, I love this topic. Let me write about it. Writing is not about, allow me to say, but writing is like romance. It's like romance, right? You don't just tell
yeah.
your partner, listen, I want you to like flowers. She doesn't like no flowers. Or you don't
Mm,
tell the man, listen, I want you to have an iPhone. He doesn't want an iPhone. Maybe he wants a car. So try to
mm,
listen to what your partner, try to listen to what your audience wants. Seems
mm,
like they love it when you talk about mental health, right? So if you
yeah,
notice your audience love when you talk about mental health, then just write about mental health. Give them what they ask. Don't
yeah,
force onto them something that you think that is good. There are exceptions, of course. Sometimes write what you like, but I'm talking about from experience. 80%
yeah,
of times and 80% of best-selling books are books that are written based on what people want.
yeah. No, thank you so much, Ralph. We literally have like 14 minutes or 13 minutes left of this call. But before we close the call and take the questions, I know that you are planning a masterclass, or you've planned rather a masterclass on the 17th of January. Can you tell us more about this masterclass? What it's about, what people can look forward to, how people can attend, just walk us through the journey of, what can we expect from the masterclass on the 17th of January at your offices?
Okay, great. So the 17th of January, we're going to have a book writing masterclass. It's open specifically for coaches, leaders, and professionals who wants to communicate their expertise in a book format and position themselves as authorities in their industry in 2026 and beyond. So here are a couple of things that we will walk through, that I will walk them through, all the delegates that will attend. So firstly, we'll talk about choosing the right book idea or the right book topic. Like I've just mentioned, you
Mm,
want to be efficient, you want to be effective. So we'll see how you can identify which book to write. Then we will talk about structuring a clear book, how to structure, how to set out your chapters. Which chapter should I start with? Should I start with a story? Should I start with statistics? Should I start with a moment in time? Should I start with lessons? Should I start with um, 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 you know, uh, anything that has happened to me, the structure. Then thirdly, then we will talk about how to write without overwhelm. I will give to all the attendees very clear frameworks on how they can write by themselves. And even after they have attended the masterclass, they must be able to know how to do it by themselves. And fourthly, we will talk about editing while keeping your authentic voice. We've mentioned earlier that you're not supposed to be the copy of somebody else's story. but you have a unique story. How do we do that? Then we will talk about how to use your book as a brand and marketing asset. Because at the end of the day, Pam, you don't just want to write a book, right? You want people to read your book. You want people to find your book. So how does it work? How do we publish? Should we go traditional publishing? Should I go self-publishing, or should I go hybrid? So we will talk about that. And then lastly, how you can pitch to publishing houses for those who want to publish with, the more influential traditional houses out there. So this is a little bit what we talk. So at the end of this masterclass, the attendees should be able to have a clear framework on how to write, and it will be a very practical session. I won't just be teaching, but we'll do that together. I will literally really show you how you can write, and I'll help everyone have at least one chapter at the end of the session. You should at least see how your chapter will look like. And for those who register, they'll also have one book cover for their book, so they can start advertising it ahead of time. So I think it's a bargain. I think it's a really great opportunity for anyone who wants to write this year.
So how do we register for this masterclass for the 17th of January, and where is it? What's the address, and what is the time, and how much is it? Those important aspects.
Okay, great. I think you put it. So we're going to start from 9 a.m. Up until 3 p.m. And the location is going to be on 353 Festival Street, Hatfield, Pretoria. So it's really in the heart of Hatfield for those who are in Pretoria. So we're going to be there. And how to register, you simply have to send, an email to info@ralphpublishers.com. And then he will be able to assist you and take you through the payment processes and book your spot.
So do you do any virtual sessions at all? Because I'm just thinking, yes, this masterclass is in person for those that are in Pretoria. So what if then now what about clients that are not based, or potential clients that may want to engage your services in terms of writing, coaching for writing for writers or authors or professionals? How do they get hold of you for, so maybe just talk about, how do you support virtually as well?
Okay, so over the last 12 months, we've been having virtual sessions every single month. I'm not sure if there's any here who has ever attended our master classes, but we usually have one or two at most virtual sessions. So even this month, we're going to have another virtual session. So for you to be kept updated with our schedule and everything, you can see on my LinkedIn profile, on my LinkedIn page, I usually post the times and the day of the virtual sessions. And if you want to register for the next one, we will communicate that in a couple of days. In regards to coaching, you can book a call with me. To see how I can help you and assist you and see where you are presently, and how we can plan a proper system to help you write your book. So virtually works, and in person also works, depending on the season in which we are.
Awesome. No, thank you so much, Ralph. So for the 17th of January masterclass, that is in Pretoria, Hatfield at 353 Festival Street from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the cost is 1,000 rands, including tea and lunch refreshments. And it's a small group of professionals, coaches, leaders, and the seats are limited. So if you're interested, send an email to info@ralphpublishers.co.za. And you can also follow Ralph on LinkedIn. Ralph, please pronounce your surname.
Ralph Kapiamba.
Ralph Kapiamba on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
You can then follow him, connect with him, and then look out for his activities throughout the year and how you can join some of his virtual masterclasses. So before we close, then in the next 5 minutes, let's open the virtual floor and let's take questions from the leaders that have joined. I know that we also have people from outside of South Africa, but there's the first hand from Kantha. Kantha, please, over to you.
Hi, Pam. It's more not even a question, but it's a comment to say it's lovely to see Ralph come full circle after our conversation early last year, I think it was, Ralph. I can't remember. And it's wonderful to see your presence on social media and LinkedIn and all that you're doing with your practice and all of the gems that you're providing to everybody on this call and with all the stuff that you post. So very well done. I don't have any questions except to say the power of social media and networking means that my best friend in the whole wide world is on this call, and she's from the Cayman Islands and she lives on Grand Cayman. And Marilyn's on this call, so maybe she'll ask a question and she'll get to meet the community. Thank you, Pam, for all that you do.
Thank you,
Awesome,
Kantha.
Kantha. Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate
And welcome, Marilyn from the Cayman Islands. It's lovely to have you. We see that you've also posted on the chat. So Kantha has put you under pressure, so you now have to unmute and switch on your video. And say something.
On the spot.
Hello, this was an absolutely excellent conversation. I have learned so much. I've made 4 pages of notes as you were talking, Ralph. I'm so inspired, and I have clear steps to frame my ideas moving forward already just based on this conversation. This was fabulous, and I wish I could be there in Pretoria, not just for your talk, but so I can pop across and see my absolute dearest, bestest friend, Kantha, as well. I did have one quick question, which may be too long to answer in the short period, but you spoke about influence, but what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy is continuity, with or without you, meaning that a lot of time we love to remain in the spotlight, right, as leaders. But legacy means that you plan for a life without you. And how can life continue without you if you're not there? Well, a book can do that, because a book is your voice that keeps echoing to the people without your physical presence. So I hope this is not so philosophical, eh?
No, that's
it's
perfect.
Clear. Great.
Yes, and thank you, and many thanks to Pamela as well for such an excellent talk today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We literally have 2 minutes, so I don't want to miss anyone. Does anyone would like to pose a question for Ralph before we close in the 2 minutes that we have? So there's a comment from Paul, great question.
Thank you.
So Paul, we like putting people under pressure. I mean, on the spot, right? Not under pressure. Sorry, don't want to put you under pressure. But we put you on the spot. If you comment, then we'll call you out and say, what do you have to say? So Paul, do you maybe lead us to a close in the next 30 seconds, yeah?
Wow, the pressure. Hi, everyone. I am in the car, so I don't know if you can see me. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Ralph, for the great session. I think for me, it's a topic that we still need to unpack. And I look forward to some of your online sessions. A lot of people go out there writing. I'm one of those. And I stopped writing because I was like, imposter syndrome. I was like, why is my story important? Why should people hear it? What impact is it going to have? But I know there's a story to be told. And when we talk about stories, it's also about the angle. So you've spoken a lot and given us a lot of pearls of wisdom, and things to think about in terms of what is the purpose of us wanting to write? What is the intention? And who is it for? So I absolutely loved this. It's been very, very thought-provoking. And I think it's a conversation that you need to continue, because writing is, I don't know, pop culture as well to a certain extent. And I think we don't want to lose the meaning and the art of it, and we need to start maybe being more impactful around why we're doing it, so that we tell good stories, as said, and really, really leave people with some level of, positive narrative or something meaningful as part of our legacy. So Pam, that's my contribution, but I've been listening in the background in the car, and it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And it's lovely to see you, Mpho. I didn't know that it was Mpho, the Mpho that I know. So it's lovely to see you after such a long time. Wonderful, Sissy. So I think it is now 15 after 7. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I hope I haven't missed anyone, but Ralph, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your time with us. I will definitely see you on the 17th because I need a lot of help since I've put myself under pressure on LinkedIn and on social media that I'm publishing a book in June. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I done? Amongst other things that I need to deliver. But hey, we can't do these things alone. That's why we need community. That's why we need coaches in the various aspects of our lives. And so I am then officially appointing you as my writing coach. I will see you on Saturday, the 17th.
I love that.
But I've started, right? I've started to write something. So someone has to vet it, whether
we'll talk about it.
It makes sense.
Looking
and
forward.
We'll talk about it. But to everyone that has joined us on the call, Malisha, I'm putting you under pressure because we spoke about the book, you writing a book last year already. I'm not sure if Malisha is still here. I think she has left, but she will get the recording. So she is someone that I'll also send your way, Ralph, that she needs help in terms of hand holding to make sure that we get her over the line and she will eventually publish that book. But thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time. It's been really lovely, and we will upload this on our YouTube channel, and then we'll send the YouTube link to everyone that attended and registered. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day further. And Happy New Year, and God bless. Thank you.